And finally for today, the last thing that I'm going to do is October and / November Revolution. So let's first compare the February and the October Revolution so we get a bigger understanding of the timeline. So the February Revolution was a popular revolution. Everyone was mad at the Tsar. They were like, we don't like you. You have not been a very good leader recently. Here are the comparisons. Weak and unstable government. Yes, the Tsar had very limited support because of the Bloody Sunday commemoration and everything. You know, he did all the bad stuff. He introduced the Duma, removed it, deleted it, over and back, not very good. War, difficulties. Yes, February 1917, there were so many high casualty rates and so many social economic issues. Military support, the Tsar had no more military support because they were all exhausted from World War I. We're fighting a war, we're not going to win, so you need to make us leave. So yes, it was a popular revolution. It was a complete accident. It was a liberal revolution from the people. Lenin was like, let me help y'all out. October Revolution, on the other hand, so between the February and October Revolution, a lot of things happened. The Tsar abdicated, he left, goodbye, go to wherever you went. Then nobody else wanted to become Tsar. So what had to happen is that a provisional government was put in place until the next elections. So the provisional government unfortunately had no support. It was made up of this coalition between the provisional government and the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks had a part in it. And the provisional government was super weak. Nobody liked them. They weren't doing very many active things. They didn't have an ideology. They were just like, calm down, guys. Keep fighting. Let's go. And the Bolsheviks were like, stop fighting. Let me give you food. Peace, land, and bread. Propaganda. Was there military support in the October Revolution? Yes, there was. The Bolsheviks were in charge of the military because they were literally given charge by the provisional government, so it was really easy to impose their ideology. But this one was not a popular revolution. It was a planned revolution. It was a Marxist revolution. It was a coup d'etat. The Bolsheviks were like, this is the time where we're gonna get power. So what were the actual causes of the October and November Revolution? Collapse of the provisional government. Bolshevik support was completely increased because they were more radicalized than the provisional government. And when you have a country in conflict, what's the number one thing that you can do if you want to rise to power? Be super radical. Economic crisis was blamed on the provisional government because there was high inflation and high famines. They're in a war. Okay. Because of the effects of the First World War, nobody liked them because you're making everyone's kids go out and fight and nobody's winning. Loads of casualties, everyone's dying. Another cause of their collapse was the Kerensky offensive, which was a failure. It was in July and it was causing the July Days. The July Days was a sequence of riots by the peasantry. Provisional government kept making people fight and they were kept losing. So the Kerensky offensive is an offensive that they attempted to do during the First World War, but completely failed. They lost a lot of land. There could have been a revolution in July, but unfortunately Lenin was like not even in the country. He was in Finland having a holiday. The troops were still relatively loyal to the provisional government. So they were like, we're not doing it right now. Next call. Economic situation was abysmal. And the grain prices were so high. So high. Provisional government attempted to requisition grain, which caused a food crisis. High inflation, and there was literally so many peasants died in famine. And it was all blamed on the provisional government. So that can actually go into the class of the provisional government, but I keep it political, economic, and then talk about the support of the Bolsheviks. So the Bolsheviks were super supported. The April thesis was basically what Lenin said. He was like, peace, land, and bread. That's the slogan. It's propaganda. It worked very well. Because of their extreme and radical ideology, obviously they were able to attract a lot of people. They had a lot of support from the army. They even had a paramilitary called the Red Guard, like literally the Bolshevik army. And finally, they had a lot of support because of the Kornilov affair. Can we just search up what the Kornilov affair is? Actually, I don't know what it is. The Kornilov affair was an attempted military coup by a commander in the Russian army, Kornilov, against the provisional government and Kerensky. Kornilov's troops were advancing into Petrograd. Bolsheviks said absolutely not. They were trying to defend Petrograd against Kornilov. This demonstrated the Bolsheviks as like the protectors of...
What are you doing?
I'm doing a video on the October and November Revolution.
Snack break.
So then, the Bolsheviks utilized some sort of guerrilla tactics, but that's not really what they call them in here, but got rid of Kornilov by... They were working with rail worker unions to impede Kornilov's army progress towards Petrograd, as well as infiltrating the army for the purpose of sabotage and convincing soldiers to desert. The fact that the Bolsheviks were getting rid of Kornilov and provisional government were not made that the provisional government reduce support and complete increase support for the Bolsheviks, because Kornilov's affair was not seen as a like, it wasn't like, let's go Kornilov. No, it was like, what are you doing? Stop. No. And finally, we can talk about the World War I effects, but I wouldn't put that as a point by itself. I would put World War I as a reason for the collapse of the provisional government, which was a cause of the 1917 revolution. Because the cause of the 1917 revolution was just the Bolsheviks decided to do at that time. But what did they need? They needed support, and this is how they got it. Boom! Oh my god, I'm done.